Well, welcome back, Healthy. Today we are continuing our Healthy Parenting series, and our first guest blesses me so much because of how she interacts with her children. She's a mother of three. She manages three businesses. She is married to the incredible Mr. Black. She holds a full time job, and most importantly, she walks the talk. As you're going to learn, she just doesn't talk about being a good parent. She is a good parent. You will know her as Tabytha Black, but she's my cousin Shay, and I want to introduce you to her because she's going to help us today with understanding how to raise healthy children and giving us the tips that she's used over the years. Bringing her on now. Hey, girl. Hey,
Hey,
how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. It's been a crazy day, but I'm glad that it's over, and you're my last thing to do today. After you, I can relax. So it's going to be a good day after all. How was your day?
Long. This week has been long, but today was long. You know how you don't have scheduled meetings and then one pop up and then it throws off your schedule for today. So that was my day today. I'm
Gotcha.
so
Yes.
glad it's over though too. Though.
Yep. I do understand. I do understand. Well, today, healthies, I am having a smoothie because I didn't really have time to make anything else. So I did a quick smoothie. Shay, what are you having?
I had a protein bowl, but now what I have left is I have salad and my water, of course.
Okay, okay. Everybody's with the water. Good for you. Well, today we're going to be talking about healthy parenting. And I tell you what, I think parenting is the hardest job on the planet. And when I tell people that, they're amazed because, as you know, I only have one child. So you would think it wouldn't be that hard, right? No, no. Parenting is hard work to me, and I thoroughly enjoy it. It has been the biggest blessing on my life. But I have to say, I could build 10 businesses easier than raising a child. Raising children is a lot of work. So I want to learn more from you as well because you've done it three times,
Yeah.
girl. Girl. So let's start there. What or whom do you attribute the success of raising three healthy children to? Who do you attribute that to?
um, God for giving me a lot of strength and
Yeah.
grace and patience. Um, but I would say my mom, not even my mom, just my family around growing up with the way that I was brought up because when my mom them came from down south up north, like they came as a group. And so you were
Yeah.
kind of raised as amongst that group of aunts and uncles and stuff like that. So that, and then I think as I got older, because I did have my first two kids pretty young. I think realizing that there's no perfect parent, and then once I realized that and realized it's okay to make mistakes,
Yeah.
the parent, it helped me like figure out okay, like I don't want to make the mistake again. So it was just a learning process that I say. So I would say life, my mom, God's grace, and reading. Like I know a lot of people like don't like to read like parenting books and stuff like that, but I'm big on like trying to take the educational influences as well as like your cultural influence from like your parents and grandparents and your life
Yes.
experience and put it all together.
Fantastic. And I do agree with you. Having a village around is very important. And it sounds as if you had a really strong one because, as you said, everybody migrated from the South together in like a group. So you had that village already built in. And I think that may be one of the disadvantages to parents today. They don't feel as if they have that village. And I
Mhm.
think that presents a challenge for them. So great. I'm so glad you had that. You mentioned reading. What's one of your favorite books you could recommend to the healthies?
Well, I do a lot of like article reading. Like there's it's a article called Psychology Today.
Yes.
And so they always come across Facebook, but if you actually go on their website, they have articles for everything every single day. So
That's
a lot of those like sociology articles or psychology articles, but Psychology Today, like I can just go and put in the search bar for something, and it's some other parent talking about something, or even sometimes from a child's perspective, the Gen Z's perspective. So that's my go-to for a lot of stuff, just to see what's going on.
Yes, and healthies, if you have not seen the promo video that I put out earlier this week on Shay, you want to take a peek at that, because what one of the things you'll learn is that she has a bachelor's degree in sociology. So that's why that psychology today
Yeah.
came up, because she's very connected to the mental health field, and that's a special interest of hers. She's actually going back to school currently and pursuing her master's to be a licensed clinical social worker. So that video I will include at the end as well, just in case you haven't seen it. Psych Today is one of the magazines that I read too. So I agree with you. Any topic that I'm interested in studying, you can go there and search it without even having a paid subscription. So I
Mhm.
really love I love that site. That's fantastic. I agree. So one of the things that I admire about your parenting style is that you are hands on, particularly with Caleb. That's how you caught my attention. So, how does a girly girl mom manage a basketball team? And you're a girly girl.
Well, that's just it. I have like two different personalities. Like, I have like my girly girl side, um, which I think people see a lot. But then I have like I have on a jogging suit and some Jordans, and I'm out there. So
Right.
uh, that I think the main thing with basketball and anything that I do in life, and I don't know, I've just always been this way. Instead of like, you know how sometimes if something is not readily available, you just like never mind and you drop it. So
Right.
that's how the basketball came up in twofolds. I know since my daughter played basketball, Caleb grew up in basketball, so he gravitated towards it. And when
Okay.
we moved down to Texas, the area that we're in is not known for basketball, and I didn't want to take that opportunity from him because that's what he loved. He was doing basketball, soccer, a little bit of football, but he loved basketball. So for me, I'm like, okay, well, if it's not here, we gonna build it. And I literally prayed about it for like 6 months, and everything kept leaning towards you can do it. And then it also gave me an opportunity to spend time with him, because I
Yeah.
realized, especially when COVID hit and everybody had to stay home because you were forced to, you realize how much you were missing out on not being at home with your kids.
That's
So yeah, that gave me, so it's challenging because boys are different than girls. Like, I was around my daughter playing basketball from when she was little. And girls, they're catty a little bit, but you can relate more to girls because you were a girl.
right.
Boys are just, they're very active. They're very hard to like contain and control and focus. So, but I wouldn't change it. I love it, and not just Caleb. Like, even his friends that he's made, and the parents that I met, and all the positive feedback that I get from them. Like, my son has blossomed so much, even not just in sports, like just with talking more and being more open and outgoing because of your program.
Yeah. That is fantastic. What are you most proud of about your children?
Um, That's a good question. I mean, because they all have done things. Well, Caleb is kind of young, so he ain't got there yet. But I think once you get to that age of, now I'm 18, everybody
Yes.
thinks that once you turn 18, I can do whatever I want to. It's
Right.
like, it's gonna hit you hard. But will I say, I say though, everybody, they've done things that I'm like kind of was disappointed about. But overall, I think that they're just, my proudest moment is they like to help other people, sometimes to a fault. Like my oldest son JJ, and I guess it comes from me because I like to
Absolutely.
help other people.
Yep.
My oldest son, he will give his last dime to his friends to the point that he's broke, and I'm like, you can't. I love the fact that you want to make sure they're good, but you got to make sure you're good, kind of before you make sure they're good. So I'm proud about that. um my daughter, I'm same thing. She's a humanitarian as well. And it's so funny because a lot of people think that she's mean, but she's mean in a good way, and the
Right.
kids love her. So I say my proudest thing is just that I wanted them to grow up to be good people. Um, like, I focus on, of course, like of course she's in school now, she's about to graduate, so that's proud. That was proud for me. My son JJ, he went to school for like a year, and like college not for me, and it's not for everybody. So
That's
I
right.
never focused on those materialistic type of things to make me proud, and I try to tell them that. I focus on, like, always, like, I can say that you're a good person, like even through their mistakes. And JJ is probably the one I'm like, oh, like if there's one kid that's gonna do everything that make me get gray hair, you're the kid. But overall, they're really they turned out to be really caring people, and so that's what
They
I'm
did.
most proud of.
I agree. And that came from you because, and I want you to talk a little bit about this. I know personally that the basketball program that you did launch there, because the basketball wasn't very prevalent in the area, you finance it. You know,
Hmm.
you are behind it, you and your husband, of course, but you guys are the financiers of that program. And that type of generosity that you're investing into others in the community as well. Of course, Caleb is benefiting, but it's also a group of, is it three separate teams now?
Yes, we have three separate teams now. And so we started with like 8 kids, and it's only been a little over 2 years. And now
Exactly.
we have a local team, we have a regional team, and we have a national team that like we're going down to Florida in June. So they get to go out, and that's what I like about it, because it does help kids in their community. And we've seen it where, especially at the age group they're in, so they're like 11 to 14. Most of them are turning 12 now. So our youngest one, I think he just turned 12. But
Okay.
that middle school age group is really the defining group that kind of like tells you what type of person you're going to become. You're going to be a leader, a follower, and just if you can kind of get them then and there, especially boys, and
Yes.
they look forward to practice. Like even if I have to cancel practice, they're like, "Do we really have to cancel?" When it's something positive for them to look forward to, it just eliminates the opportunity for them to gravitate towards the negative, because that involvement, that attachment to the team. So um yeah, I'm just amazed as a growth. Like it's to the point now where we have it. My daughter, she usually Jatea, she's usually the one that does the parent engagement and interaction. But it's
Uh-huh.
to the point now where we have to tell people like we don't even have room for your kid.
Wow.
But the next tryouts will make sure we reach out to you. So
Okay, now that's impressive. We're going to include your Cash App in the show notes, and those of you who want to contribute, if you would like, no pressure. We're going to have that because again, this is
it's
something
expensive.
very expensive. I know it is, and you never ask anybody for anything. You do what you can do, and that I'm proud of. And I'd like to help you in any way that they can help you in that endeavor as well. So thank you for all you're doing.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's our goal, I think. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
you're
That's
fine. No.
just I think that's one of our mission statements, is that we want to be able to help as many kids as possible that can't financially help themselves. Like I know even parents feel bad when the financial barrier prevents their kid from doing something that they really want to do. So that's why I'm just like, in my mind, I get it back. Like I always get blessed when I do good. So I'm like, if I have it to do, then I'm going to give it, because I've always seen it come back to me in some other type of way.
That's absolutely right. And I tell you, when you said that your children are good humans because they have observed you, they've observed your actions. And I will firmly believe that's why I think parenting is so hard. Children do what you do, not what you say.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
they have modeled their mom, and kudos to you for that. You've talked to us a little bit about things that you have done, but some of us have busy plates like yours, three businesses, full time job, a marriage. That's a busy plate, right? Yet you've still managed to do this. So, talk about some of your habits and practices that you've cultivated through the years that's helped you balance it all.
Learn how to live off of 4 hours of sleep. No.
Oh my gosh. But
um,
that's probably true.
yeah. Um, well, two things. One of the things is that I really love doing it. So sometimes, I mean, we all have those moments where we get overwhelmed, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I took on too much. And I think at those times, that's when you have to stop. And I've done that, where like I take solo trips. I took a solo trip to Mexico, to Cabo, because that I needed that. I needed to get away and be by myself, and I was on a resort. So that's usually what I do. I can go months, weeks and months where I can just, and then all of a sudden it'll hit me and it'll be like, you need a reset. And that's why I call it like a reset. And that reset could even be, I actually said I was going to do it probably tomorrow. That reset could be just going to get a hotel room for a day away from everybody.
Okay.
So that's kind of like how I balance it. Like I'm really good at like planning and organizing and stuff. So I have this day for this and this day for that. And a lot of times I'm just going so I can't go anymore. And I think that's where I've grown in is realizing that, like realizing you got to stop and take a break and take care of yourself. Because I
Yeah.
used to didn't do that. And then I would be somewhere just frustrated and overwhelmed and being 50% productive. So that's kind of my balance. And that reset gets me back going until I need another reset. So,
Yeah, yeah. But that's really a good tip. I know for a lot of us, me included, we don't prioritize self care enough.
mhm.
It sounds like you are doing that. So that's certainly one habit that we can all learn from is begin to
Yes.
prioritize ourselves more. Awesome. What's been the most challenging part about raising your children?
Um, a couple of things. The initially the most challenging part was that I had my son and my daughter young. So when you're still growing yourself and you haven't reached your adulthood, so you don't even know, you're still trying to figure life out, and now you have these little people that's dependent on you. So I think that was my most challenging part, was like, well, now you're not priority anymore, and you have to learn that at like a very young age, so they had to become priority. And it was a lot that I didn't know, so I went through moments of like parent guilt
Yeah,
where I felt like I didn't do this right. Did this impact my kids? Especially when I got into like psychology and started reading stuff. And then I'm like trying to psychoanalyze myself. And I'm like, I think I was that did this to them. So that was the most challenging, was I think the parent guilt. And then
yeah,
I had to like get over it. That's what I was saying earlier when I learned that like all parents are going to make mistakes, whether you're young or old.
that's true.
Um, I wouldn't recommend having kids young though, for that moment, for that very reason. Because and then financially, it's financially difficult. Like you're not gonna make a lot of money unless when you 20, 21 years old with two kids. Like so the financial difficulty, the I think the mental stress, because again at that age, I don't even know, most people when you're that young, you don't know how to deal with mental stress in a healthy way. So I think that was the most challenging part, being so young, and it was nothing I can do about it. Like it was a, you made your bed, now you have to lie in it type of thing. And I was just blessed because again, my mom, where I was in school, like I was in college, and I was going to school in Indiana, and that's where I had my kids at, Jamil and Jatea. And I was able to graduate college because my mom would come and get them. She would come to Indiana, get them, bring them. This is my mom was still living in Illinois. She
Right.
lives in Texas now, and she would get them for like weeks at a time, and that gave me like focus, to be able to finish school. So if it wasn't for her, that helped me a
Woo.
lot. And then I think once I graduated, got a decent job. She probably stayed. I moved back to Illinois. She stayed there. Maybe they were like 3 and 4, which is still young, and I was still young. She was like, "Bye, I'm going to Texas. I think you got it figured out now." But that parent guilt was a lot, and because I was still, you're young, you still want to go out, you want to hang out. Oh my goodness. So yeah, that was very difficult when I was looking back and comparing when they were little versus when Caleb was that age. It
Yes.
just felt like that it was a lot that more that I should have done or could have done for them, but didn't because I was so young.
Yeah, I agree. That is challenging. As you know, with my one, I waited later, and while I certainly was in a better financial position and a lot more mature, which helped, the downside is that you're older and you don't really have all that get up and go. And children have energy 24/7. I
Yes.
never forget, my daughter had exhausted me at Six Flags. We went to Six Flags one year. I mean, we were there for when it opened and we shut it down. And as you knew, we lived an hour away from Six Flags. I drove the hour she slept, of course, and that 1 hour sleep was enough to rejuvenate her. We got home, and the child had the nerve to ask me, "What fun things are we going to do now at 11 o'clock at night?"
Go to bed.
That was the fun thing I said, "Oh, sweetheart, you are going to bed. Fun is over." But that 1 hour cat nap was enough to energize her. So she was like, "Okay, let's go round two, mom." No, mom's over it. So I just didn't have the stamina that you have when you're younger. So there are pros and
Mhm.
cons to it all. But she had to adjust to mom's stamina because I couldn't hang like that. You had to get some friends who could hang with her because mom couldn't do it. Yeah, those are really great. So one final tip that you can give us for those who are struggling. You've given us a lot, but if
Mhm.
we have parents who are still struggling with kids, what's the one takeaway that they should leave this conversation with? What are you going to leave them with?
I would say back to, I think I probably said this a few times, but there is no perfect parent. So you gotta forgive yourself, because you're gonna make mistakes. Even though I mentioned like reading and listening to people and stuff, there's no book that you're gonna read that's gonna answer all the parent questions for you. So I think giving yourself grace. And this one, I hope people don't take it the wrong way, but I do think that there is a lot of times when you're a parent, especially if you're a new parent or a first time parent, you have all of these people that want to tell you how to parent.
Oh
And
wow.
although that's great and all, I think you have to take that with kind of like a grain of salt, because every child is not the same. So you can't parent the way that like your mom may have parented you or your friend parent their child. I mean, you could take some of their tips, but I think you'll find along the way you got to cultivate what works best for you. And I would say that like I say like pray and lean on God. And it's so funny because I'll leave this too. A lot of people don't know that about me. I think people don't know how like spiritual I am. Like I
Yeah.
read my Bible, I write in my journal, I have my daily prayer, and probably because I'm on naturally like a more like reserved type of person, so I don't share like all of this. But I would say that's going to help you through a lot. Like even
Right.
with your trying to figure out your course of action to take, you can like pray about it, and usually you'll get guidance. But I
Yeah.
would say the number one thing, because I'll get to talking and rambling, is give yourself grace and know that you can make mistakes and apologize to your kids. That's a big one. You can apologize to them for the mistakes that you made.
Oh God, I'm so glad you included that one because I so agree. Apologies go a long way, and children are forgiving anyway because you're their
Mm-hmm.
parent. They are always going to forgive you even without the apology. But I think the apology helps them to connect that, you know what, when I make a mistake, I should apologize too. Again, just contributing to that good human that you're raising. So I 100% agree with that. This has been so informative, as I knew it would be. Thank you so very much. I do want to include your Cash App in the show notes. What is it?
My Cash App is Tycan16. So just TYCAN16.
Okay. All right. I will include that as well as the links to the three businesses. And thank you, everyone, for watching. And we so appreciate that. If you have any questions for Shay, feel free to write us at healthynotperfection@gmail.com. And I will certainly pass that on to her. And until next time, hold everyone at levels that honor you. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.